Hello, my name is British Shigo, and I'll be discussing a landmark U.S. Supreme Court case known as Fred Korematsu v. United States of America. It is also simply known as Korematsu v. United States. It was decided in 1944 towards the end of World War II. That is significant to this case. On February 19, 1942, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. Technically, that order only allowed for the Secretary of War, which is an obsolete executive cabinet office nowadays, so it doesn't exist, to designate certain areas of American territory as military zones. On May 19th, the military ordered all Americans of Japanese descent to leave their homes and move into relocation camps. A young man named Fred Korematsu did not find this to be a lawful or good thing. He ended up staying in his residence in San Leandro, California, and so he ended up being arrested by the police. It's important to note that when he was arrested, his loyalty to the United States was not taken into account. Mr. Korematsu claimed to know a thing about two, in fact he happened to know a thing or two about constitutional law, and he claimed that his arrest violated the 14th Amendment and was thus unconstitutional and unlawful. He took his case to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has appellate jurisdiction over California, Alaska, Arizona, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and the territories of Guam and the Mariana Islands. Although he was likely disappointed by the affirmative ruling, he had good fortune to have the Supreme Court grant certiorari for this case. By the way, certiorari, I'm sorry about that, is the opportunity presented by a court to hear his case. Which, if you get certiorari, you can have your case heard by a court, a high court. The case was eventually argued for about 2 years after the arrest. It was argued 2 years after the arrest, over a 2-day period on October 11th and 12th in front of the Supreme Court. The justices argued in private for quite some time. Finally, on December 18, 1944, in a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that the president's exclusion order leading to Japanese American internment was constitutional. Also, legal. That's what it means. Their explanation for their ruling was explained by Judge Hugo Black, and I quote him now. Korematsu was not excluded from the military area because of hostility to him or his race. He was excluded because we were at war with the Japanese Empire, and because the property constituted military authorities, they feared an invasion of our west coast and felt constrained to take proper security measures, because they decided that the military urgency of the situation demanded that citizens of Japanese ancestry be segregated from the west coast temporarily, and finally, because Congress, reposing its confidence in this time of war in our military leaders, as inevitably as it must, determined that they have the power to do just that. Like I said, there were 3 justices who dissented. I now quote Justice Frank Murphy. I dissent, therefore, from this legalization of racism. Racial discrimination in any form and in any degree has no justifiable part whatever in our democratic way of life. It is unattractive in any setting, but it is also utterly revolting among the free people who have embraced the principles set forth in the Constitution of the United States. All residents of this nation are kin in some way by blood or culture to a foreign land. Yet they are primarily and necessarily a part of the new and distinct civilization of the United States. They must accordingly be treated at all times as the heirs of the American experiment, and as entitled to all the rights and freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution. The other 2 justices dissented on similar grounds. In the end, Korematsu was sent to the internment camp, but he was released not too long after due to the drawing down of the war. In March of 2011, Acting Solicitor General Neil Katyal released an unusual statement that criticized one of his predecessors of more than 65 years ago, Solicitor General Charles Fahy. It was subsequently revealed that the military and intelligence circles had found no true cases of situations of Japanese treason on the mainland throughout the war. I am personally opposed to racism on all grounds, although I can feel some sort of sympathy towards the ruling, but I would still have voted against it if I were justice of the case. The United States was engaged in a truly vicious war against the capable imperial military miles away from the mainland. But as shown in the late report, internment was pointless. So what does this mean today? I did not mention what happened to the ruling, did I? In 1980, at Korematsu's request, President Jimmy Carter appointed a special commission to investigate the internments. Congress then formally apologized and paid $20,000 to each survivor of the camps. Believe it or not, even 40-something years later after his conviction, Korematsu's offense was finally quashed in a San Francisco district court. Even more absurd is the fact that the ruling was still in effect. Even today, the ruling exists as something in the books. But in 2011, the Justice Department under the Obama administration issued a notice saying that they would no longer enforce it. Fred Korematsu died in 2005 at the age of 86, but his legacy will remain as one that acknowledges that judicial error exists, but the outstanding courage of people with a heart and belief in the human rights given to us by the Constitution can tackle these adversaries. Thank you for watching.